U.S. Republican presidential hopeful Chris Christie visited an Israeli kibbutz that was attacked by Hamas and expressed his solidarity. Christie toured the kibbutz that was ravaged in the October 7 rampage by Hamas militants that triggered the war and met with Israeli leaders during his one-day visit. The former New Jersey governor is the first candidate for the 2024 Republican nomination to visit Israel. "I came here because I wanted to see this for myself," Christie said during a tour of Kfar Aza, one of more than 20 towns and villages attacked by Hamas militants. The trip marks his second trip to a warring country since the start of his presidential bid, after a visit to Ukraine in August. By far the most strident critic of Donald Trump in the Republican field, Christie has consistently been in the low single digits in national polls, far behind the former president. His visit came as Israel continued its bombardment of the Gaza Strip and engaged in urban fighting in the north of the enclave.
Leaders in our country need to see this for themselves, because you can't, just from this, you can't really understand it until you see it. And so I intend to go back to the U.S. and talk about this regularly, so that the American people who are being asked to sacrifice and to help Israel financially and militarily will know that what they're doing is not only a noble effort on their part, but also what friends do for friends. And America has no greater friend in the world than Israel, and we need to make sure that we refresh that friendship at times of peril like this. Despite some of the protests you see in our country and some of the conduct that you see on some of our college campuses, I think it's a vast minority of the American people. And I think from my experience in campaigning and speaking to folks in my own home state, people understand that this is not a choice for America, that this is an obligation. But there are those who just believe kind of what they see and what they hear, whether it's from professors on their campus or certain members of leadership in the United States Congress. And I think they're wrong, and it's incumbent upon people like me and others to stand up and say, I've been here, and I can tell you what I saw, not what you were being told happened. I saw it. When you see what happened here, you know it could happen again. And I think it's not only protecting the safety and security of people now, but it is also about degrading Hamas's ability to do this again. And that's not easy. And there are going to be unfortunate deaths in the course of that. But I remind people in the U.S. all the time that there was a ceasefire. It was Hamas who violated the ceasefire, not Israel. And if Hamas had not entered this neighborhood on October 7th and caused the carnage that they did, there would be peace today, both here and in Gaza. So we must remember who's really responsible for this. And we can't ask Israel to stand down if they believe there is still a legitimate violent threat against them and their people. And I think there's no question that there is. And so they must continue to fight until they have degraded that capability to a point where they can say to their people, come back and live here safely and securely. Until that comes, I don't think calls for a ceasefire make any sense, and also forget the history of the fact that before October 7th, there was a ceasefire in place, and it was Hamas that broke it, not Israel.